Hi, I'm Chandell from the Magic Healing Powers of Energy. Today we have Michelle from Nurture Health Solutions on the Gold Coast. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, Chandell.
Good.
How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, great. And thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about you and your practice, if you can, please?
Sure. So as you stated, I'm on the Gold Coast. I am a naturopath, an EFT practitioner and matrix re-imprinting practitioner. I've been in practice for roughly 12 years, and I just love the work that I do.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so you said you've been doing this for 12 years. So through that time, you must have had some beautiful clients come through, and you've seen some amazing things. Can you just tell the audience out here, what would a first-time client experience coming to you? Like, is it scary? Like, do you do something weird, or, because EFT, I mean, we all know what naturopathy is, but what's EFT?
Yeah. So EFT is emotional freedom techniques, and it's commonly referred to as tapping. So it's not scary. It's a wonderful technique that actually can change the way you feel about something, or help you to learn how to regulate your emotions, or change a negative emotional experience to be perceived differently. So it does sound a little bit different, but there's actually a lot of research about it out there now. It's not totally mainstream, but I actually work in clinical research trials. I facilitate those on EFT, and we've done EFT for chronic pain and EFT in cancer patients as different subjects.
Excellent. And we all have baggage there. We all need something released. I think anyone's lying if they can't tell me that they've got something hidden away in what I call my backpack, back in our emotional backpack. Yeah,
absolutely. We're such emotional beings. Like, every day we make hundreds of decisions based on our emotions, and we don't realize it, but they're all emotionally driven, from what we're going to wear today, which way we're going to drive to work, what we're going to eat. It's all about how we're feeling in the moment, and that's then how we behave, and the decisions we base are based on that. So they're minor examples, but major decisions and major patterns in our lives have come from our whole history, and things that have happened to us, and emotions that we have stored, and sometimes they're unconscious or subconscious emotions and patterns and behaviors that are there. So EFT helps to create freedom around those emotions, so it doesn't erase memories, but it will change that emotional driver, or remove that emotional negative charge that's there around a specific event.
So you're trying to say that it gives me more control over that, rather than becoming innate to just do something that I've always done through a programming that might have been developed through trauma or something like that? Or are you saying that no, you said that it doesn't erase it, but what do you mean by that? Like, you say I was, I don't know, it might not go down this, but say I was told I was fat and ugly or something as a child, and I now make, decisions around that subconsciously for the rest of my life. Would EFT help me with that, or am I always going to be fat and ugly for the rest of my life? In my head. How does that work? How would that work in that situation? Or Absolutely. Is it not that, or am I going down the wrong road?
No, it's totally perfect, and I have worked with people in that exact example that you gave.
Yeah.
So EFT works on unraveling the neural pathway that behavior or belief has been set up in, and leaving it open for a different perception. So patterns and behaviors, yes, they've come from an experience, and it might be something someone said to you, something that happened to you, and we then create some kind of behavior based on that, and carry that through the rest of our lives. So for that example, some people might have issues with food. They might eat too much food, or not eat not enough food, or they constantly have this feeling that they're that they're fat and ugly, like that comment that was made to them. So working on the emotions around that specific event and the tapping process. So you're actually tapping on 8 different points of your body. That tapping process calms the amygdala and allows us to, it changes the perception of what happened, so that event then is just something that happened. It's not something that's driving a continual unhelpful behavior.
Yeah. And, that then can trigger on to, physical problems too, like, gut health and stuff like that, can't it? Do you, being a naturopath and an EFT practitioner, do you actually then combine the two, or, you just do one or the other? What's going on there?
Yeah, so I was first a naturopath, and then I discovered EFT. And the reason I love it so much is that I would have certain patients there I'd have a certain level of success with. They'd have changes, they'd be feeling better, but there might just be that last bit where it wasn't completely resolved. And it became apparent to me that there was some emotional thing keeping them stuck and held in that place for the physical issue that's going on. So by combining both, so people that will book in for naturopathy, often when I sit with them and take their case, I will find that there is some emotional component there. So part of their treatment plan will be to do some EFT. Whereas a big portion of my practice, people will just be coming and booking in for EFT to start with. And it might be because they've got, an emotional issue. They feel angry all the time and they just can't understand why. Or it also might be that they have a physical issue or condition that they don't know how to fix it. They've tried everything possible and they've heard about EFT and they want to give it a go. So, that direct impact of our emotions on our physical being is very apparent in that situation.
Yeah, and you're right. I know I was talking to a girl the other day and she had gut issues, and that's why I kind of come up with the gut issue thing. She had gut issues since she was like 12 or something like that. And it wasn't until she was 32 where she went and saw an EFT practitioner. And they actually realized it was from something that a kid said to her when she was 12 at school. And she carried it all that time, and she had been to, like you said, every doctor, every this, every that, trying to fix this gut issue, and it just didn't resolve until they put the 2 and 2 together and dealt with it, and no more gut issues. That's just amazing. I was just really surprised at how long the body holds on to things. And how easy it is to resolve when you find the right thing.
It's there's a period from when we're born to when we're 7 years old that's called imprinting years. So everything that happens around us is what creates the person we are through the rest of our lives.
Wow. So that's really important underneath 7 to be careful what you say and do around your children then.
What they watch, the things they experience, it's really, really important. And there's a study called the ACEs study, which is the Adverse Childhood Experiences study. So what they found in that study was the more adverse experiences these people had in childhood, the poorer their health outcomes were, as adults. So the direct correlation between things like obesity, anxiety, cardiovascular disease, cancers, were the higher your ACEs score was, the more chance you had of these health issues and the more of those health issues that those people actually had. So, that's actually part of my consultation process is we go through that ACEs questionnaire just to establish where someone's at. And it can be really, really affirming for them and empowering to know and understand why they're at the place they're at now by looking at that with the people I work with. They just feel better already knowing that,
well,
they're normal.
could you imagine how much that would have affected their lives? you know, if you can't concentrate, if you're in constant anxiety, how much learning you would have really got at school or in your job, or confidence to develop even further, it would have really affected it. I just want to take you back a bit. You said that, you know, you do this in your consult, you do this in your consult, you do this in your consult. And I've got in the back of my mind as a doctor, like, what, you're in there 15 seconds, you're out again. So how long is your consult? You know, am I there for 4 hours? You know,
no, not there for 4 hours. So a naturopathic consult is an hour. An EFT consult is also an hour. You come into my beautiful consult room, sit in a lovely, comfortable lounge chair, and we talk through, you know, what your priorities are, find out, you know, what you want help with and how I can help you. I care about my clients, and I love them all. And you know, I think I've never had a client that, you know, I didn't want. People talk about that and they say, oh, you know, what about this type of client, you know, the person that whinges or whatever. And I'm like, well, I have never ever had one of those. So I do love the work that I do. And so yes, I spend the time with my clients and really try and understand them and what they've been through and where they're coming from. And I'll meet them where they're at. So I like to look at it like, you know, client-led treatments, because you know, there's no point me having my agenda and what I want to work with, because I'm working with the person that's in front of me and what they need. So that's most important to me. And a lot of those clients tend to be women, and they'll either be coming for their hormones, or they'll be coming because they've realized, you know, at the point of their life, which is generally middle age, that they're not happy with something and they want something to change. And that is often, you know, we often use EFT in that instance. They just feel stuck because they've had a pattern their whole lives, and maybe that's doing everything for everyone else, which is really common with mums. And they all of a sudden realize, hey, how did I get to this place where I'm on the bottom of my to-do list? That's not working for me anymore. But to just try and change that with positive thoughts and willpower is just almost impossible, because they've got this program. So working with those women in, you know, how did that establish in the first place, and all of the things that are showing up in their lives that are still playing to this program. So, you know, working through those emotions and why that keeps happening, and how they can put themselves first, without feeling guilty, without people thinking that they're being petty. You know, all of those thoughts are running through their head, and sometimes logically they know that that's just ridiculous, but it's like trying to you've got a big pile of garbage, and it's like spraying air freshener and expecting the smell to go away. The willpower and the positive thinking is not going to cut it. You need to get in and remove the garbage. So that's the EFT and matrix is the removal of the garbage, and that's where you get real change in your life. And you know, your life changes. And I used to think that was that sort of slogan was a bit, you know, gimmicky and not for me, but you know, I see it every day. And you know, that's why I love doing this, is because it's making a real change for people each time. Because each time you come, you will feel different, you will feel better, you will feel calmer every time that you leave. Like that's a guarantee. I have this statement I use all the time with people: the thing is not the thing. So, you know, someone will come and say, I'm just really angry all the time, I'm just really cranky at my, you know, almost adult kids, I'm just cranky with my husband. And it's like, well, okay, let's peel this back, because the thing is not the thing. You know, you being angry about someone spilling, you know, their dinner on the floor, it's not about that. Let's have a look at what it is about. And sometimes people just don't know what that is. So I like to help people work that out, and at their own pace. So I'm also a trauma-informed practitioner. So I have worked with trauma and have had lots of training in it. So knowing the right approach and how to help people, you know, sneak up on that without sort of diving into it and keeping them safe is always really important.
Because you're going through all this trigger moment, and that's going to get huge now with the COVID. You know, are you
Yeah.
seeing an influx of people coming to you with I don't like to say mental health issues, but it will end up mental health issues because it's just that one last nugget in the bag that just becomes too heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll either, like you said, it can go two ways. When it just becomes too much, it can become a mental health issue, or it can become a physical issue.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, when the weight of all those emotions becomes too much, your body will try and give you signals and signs that something's not right. And it's like waving a little red flag and saying, hello, listen to me, you know, can you deal with some of this stuff? It's getting too heavy. So, you know, whichever direction it goes in, yeah, that's what I'm seeing, you know, over the last 2 years. And it's the things that are piling on, like the frustration, people feeling constricted and restricted, like they haven't got choices, and you know, some of those things are triggering because it might relate to something, you know, when they were younger, where they didn't have a choice about something or couldn't speak up about something. So that's another thing. So you know, that pile has already started to build, but now you know, constantly it's getting added to. So yeah, that is something that I'm seeing more commonly. And the beauty of I suppose restrictions is that a lot of my work now has become available online. So you know, like we're talking now on Zoom, we can work with EFT and Matrix, you know, in this capacity, which means this is accessible to anyone, anywhere. So that's I think a real positive that's come out of the last 2 years, is that people are looking for those options and it's available.
Yeah, well, I always go back and think about, you remember the girl, was her name Dolly, the little girl that committed suicide, that was out in a station, you know, and obviously they're restricted, where now, like you said, the internet is, you know, it just opens this all up. And with EFT, you were saying before that, you know, that is something that, yeah, they can actually do to themselves if they're trained, and you offer that training, is that right? Yeah.
Yes, so I'm also an evidence-based EFT trainer.
Yeah.
And so this is, you know, all certified, and it's to teach people, just the general public, how to use this technique themselves. So that training is a one-day training usually, and it was being offered in person. So this year we've flipped it around to make it available online as well, so that again it's accessible to more people. But at the end of that training, you will be able to go away and use it in your day-to-day life for everyday issues. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you're going to, you know, get to the bottom of a big trauma that might have happened to you in your life. Definitely that still requires, you know, one-on-one work with a qualified practitioner. And, you know, even myself, any of my bigger issues, I work with a colleague, you know, to keep my emotional health in check. Yeah. But definitely the smaller day-to-day stuff, people learn how to use it themselves for stress and anxiety, for sleep, for minor physical issues. Yeah. You can use it with children. So I've done programs where we've taught in early learning centres all of the staff how to use this, and they were using it as part of their daily routine with the kids. So yeah. It was, you know, staying ahead of the game. So if they sort of set them up for their day before anything happened, any emotional event happened, they noticed there was less of those emotional events during the day. So as an adult, you can do the same thing for yourself. Set yourself up daily with it. What an amazing tool and a way to change our world is that empowering these children to know that they have control of their emotions and they can regulate themselves. Yeah. In any moment. Yeah. Within minutes, they can feel calm and they've regulated themselves. So, I mean, yes, it works exactly the same for adults, and it's amazing. But you know, adults end up with so many layers, whereas with children, they haven't got as many layers as us. And if they're taught this technique early on, then they don't develop the layers, because the work you do with tapping, it lasts, it sticks, and once they know that it works and how it feels, because you physically feel different, they will go back to it. So my two younger children, they know how to tap, they know how to do EFT. And my youngest, who is 6, she has taught kids in the playground that are upset how to do it. She'll go over to them and help them with it. So, you know, it's something that is really easy to learn and can be applied anywhere. And, you know, if a 6-year-old can help, you know, a little friend out of feeling upset, you know, it's just a way to have a real big ripple effect.
So I think what I can suggest anyway to our viewers is that they come and have a consult with you, experience it, then do a little bit of training with you, and then they can kind of keep themselves on track and the children on track, and further down and then they can actually recognize things that are getting a little bit bigger and then go, okay, I need to come back to you or something like that. Would that work? Is that the kind of
Absolutely
ideal situation to keep going?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So have you got a clinic coming up? Like, have you got a training thing coming up, or it's just, you know, contact you, or how do we go about that?
So we've got a training in 2 days' time on Saturday.
Okay.
So yes. But the next one will be early next year. So we try and run 3 to 4 of those trainings, 1-day trainings a year. Otherwise, when you have a consultation one-on-one, you actually do start to learn the process anyway. So I do talk about, you know, what it is, how it works, get your background, and then as you're doing it, you will just start to learn it, because it's quite a repetitive technique. So it is easy to learn, and that's where some people go, how can something so simple have such a profound effect? And it really doesn't make sense to them. But you know, I work with it every day, and it's you know, I'm seeing it every day.
But I think exactly what you were saying before about the way the human body holds mental, emotional, physical things is in layers. I always call it the onion layer. You know, the actual problem is right at the core of the onion. When you're unfolding these layers physically with your naturopathy, but then also mentally with your EFT, I mean, that would just speed things up astronomically for a start, the results for a start, but also come to an actual complete, not allowed to use the word cure, but you know, a complete resolution. You're incredible, girl. How come I hadn't known about you before? Like, come on, you know. That's so cool. And exactly like you said before, we can now contact you online. We don't have to come to your clinic, and we can empower ourselves and our children and our situation in our life. Oh God, when life's going the other direction, you're the gold in the light. You really are. Thank you. What's one experience through your whole practice that you bring forward to, like, you know, this was an amazing event that you really didn't think would resolve that?
The things that really stand out for me all the time, because they just make such a big difference to people's lives, is the women I work with around their fertility issues. So working on the emotional aspects of infertility with those women, and the number of women that have become pregnant after doing my EFT fertility program is, you know, amazing. It's a very high success rate. But you know, we're not talking about you know, their eggs and their diet and their, you know, all of the stuff that you would typically think you're talking about. But with fertility, it's there's a lot of things about, you know, will I be a good enough mother, or am I deserving enough? Not feeling supported, you know, that's often a common one for people that have miscarriages. So working on all of those typical emotions for women that are struggling to fall pregnant, and working through them, and just the comments and feedback from those groups are things like, you know, they could just feel so much lighter as they went through so it's a 6-week program, but as they went through, they could feel actually changes in, you know, just how they felt physically, as well as emotionally. So that to me is just, you know, it's an untapped area for fertility, and it is just so amazing that these women will contact me and go, hey, I got a positive test, you know, and you know, and I love that. And the thing is not the thing, you know. It's if you're too focused on the fertility and what's going wrong and not looking at that person as a whole being and their emotional state, and those typical emotions with infertility, then you know, you can just be missing that big piece to the puzzle. So that's probably they're the things that have had the biggest impact in my practice.
And you brought up this beautiful child. And, you know, sorry, I know I digress too much, but I'm just trying to think right now, Pfizer's coming out with a drug to help fertility, and it's their gold. You know, they think that's gold. But like you said, you know, you may be able to, in the end, produce a baby, but if your mental health is not right, how are you going to care for that baby at the end of it? So I think, like you said, if you deal with that, all these things that innately that your body is telling you, if you get that right first, when you actually do have your baby, you'll be well prepared for that baby, and that baby will be healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally, and then turn into a more balanced mentally, physically, emotionally adult. So yeah, again, you're gold. I've got to go. You can have me here forever. I tell you, you're such an interesting person. Anyway, if anyone else is excited as I am with Michelle, please go, go visit her. She's brilliant. I'm sure she's going to make an absolute, you know, change in your world. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chandell, for having me. Okay.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.